It makes sense an organization that started from uploading first-person shooter video game content would embrace the saying, you can be the hunter or you can be the hunted. So at a time when there's a ton of focus, investments that are heading towards gaming, esports, whatever you want to kind of consider it within the sports nutrition industry, what happens when the script is flipped and a esports team actually makes an investment in a sports nutrition brand? So that's exactly what happened last month. FaZe Clan made an investment in a sports nutrition startup called Control, CTRL. And to my knowledge, this is the first investment from an esports team over to a sports nutrition brand that I could find, or at this point, the most notable one at least that I could find. As part of the new ownership in Control, FaZe Clan would be throwing all of its marketing prowess towards building up that brand. They would have their logo on the packaging and would create some unique flavor specifically for elements of their brand. Now, for those that maybe have not heard of CTRL, I'm just calling it Control because I'm assuming that's what they like to go by. It's actually an acronym that stands for Catered to Real Life. It was just founded last year in 2019, but regardless of how kind of new it is, it has some kind of big hitters in terms of what we're considering the esports or gaming world within their founding team. One of their founders is Sundance Di Giovanni, which is one of the fathers of modern esports. He was one of the co-founders of Major League Gaming, which was acquired in 2016 by Activision Blizzard for $46 million. And then Activision Blizzard actually used that as the foundation for the highly successful Overwatch League. Another person on their founding team is Skylar Johnson. He's a former professional gamer. He owned or still owns a professional esports team and was the chief creative officer at Gamma Labs or G Fuel for a number of years in the mid 2010s. The brand is currently focused only on one category, and that is the powdered meal replacement category. Currently at taping of this video, they have 3 cereal inspired flavors. Design packaging was created to stand out digitally. It's a well-composed packaging, but also to just fit mainstream specialty retail stores. And a lot of that came down to they wanted to make sure that the brand did not feel like it was just locked into video game segment. It has some potential to cross over into different consumer bases depending on where the market shifts. And the company plans to add new flavors, part of it around the FaZe Clan deal, and then also enter some new product categories in the near future. Now, talking about FaZe Clan, if you're not familiar with FaZe Clan, they were founded in 2010. I think there was 3 founding members. They started to upload some trick shots, gaming footage, things like that on YouTube around Call of Duty. They got a lot of kind of momentum going on there, and another individual actually joined the team, I think somewhere around 2013, and that was when they started to kind of broaden away from gamer only content and looking at maybe some of the lifestyle vlogs, adding some things to kind of fill out the personality of FaZe Clan, and that really kind of took them on a different trajectory. From those 3 individual founding members, now they have, I think, over 70 either professional gamers or content creators that are gamers on their roster. If you look at just the company corporate kind of social media pages, YouTube, they have 8.2 million subscribers, and that does not even include all the individual pages of all of their team members, which include some hip hop artists, include some professional athletes. They have well into the hundreds of millions of potential reach that happens across all of the FaZe Clan members. And that has put FaZe Clan to be dubbed the world's most popular professional gaming and esports organization. And Forbes just named them the 4th most valuable esports entity, putting their valuation at somewhere around $240 million, which was actually just backed up with a Series A funding. They just got investment of around $40 million that was led by Jimmy Iovine. It's the same Jimmy Iovine that started Beats Entertainment And before that, he was the founder of Interscope Records. In addition to Jimmy Iovine, actually a company that his son founded called Network, also was a lead investor on the round. And this is kind of an interesting thing to think about. There's this company called Network, which is a live streaming kind of shopping app that is like a combination of QVC, Twitch, Twitter. It's got this like combination of things here, but it's really focused on like a younger demographic, what they would kind of consider like, you know, that hype beast type demographic. And this live streaming shopping app has got investors behind it like Drake and Live Nation. And they've been able to already do like exclusive merchandising drops with LeBron James, Billie Eilish, number of other people that they've seen a ton of success in already. And now they own the exclusive merchandising rights for FaZe Clan. And I could go on and on and on about how kind of integral this like network side of FaZe Clan is to them and potentially could be to Control. But this is not necessarily just a video about FaZe Clan. So I want to make sure I move on, and we'll leave that to another day if it ever kind of comes to fruition. But besides Jimmy Iovine and Network, they had a ton of like A-list celebrities, professional sports athletes, music industry executives, and artists that were a part of this Series A $40 million raise, which ultimately just shows how big FaZe Clan has gotten into like the mainstream media kind of circles, like how important they've gotten, how people have paid attention to them and want to be a part of it through an investment. So why am I making a video about a investment from FaZe Clan to Control? Like, why is this potentially important? I think it comes down to like two reasons here why this potentially could be really important for everybody. One is around just how fast COVID-19 has accelerated the trend around gaming, esports, streaming, and just like the monetization of that and how people are looking at that space as a potential way to make a living. Arguably, one of the biggest beneficiaries or categories of things of COVID-19, this COVID-19 effect, is that esports and gaming, streaming, all of that was moved years ahead. This was something that got a ton of attention. This was a trend that was already happening. I think everybody was already paying attention to it, but this really threw a lot of gasoline on the fire and really brought it to everybody's attention, regardless if you've ever paid attention to gaming or not. Looking at some of like June's numbers or last quarter's numbers in terms of like some different specific categories, you had $1.2 billion in the US that was spent on gaming items. That's up 26% year over year. Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, their streaming on a quarter over quarter perspective is said to be up 56%. You had a recent survey that said 3 out of 4 Americans play some game, be that a mobile game, be that on a computer, be that through a gaming console. 3 out of 4 Americans play video game now. Of that large collection of people, a recent survey said that 35% are playing more video games during this like restricted living pandemic period. As a trend, in looking at this and analyzing this, there's no way you can't be paying attention to how big things are getting in that space. There's going to be a ton of opportunities that happen, regardless of what the stickiness level of this is post-pandemic. Another thing to think about when we're talking about the followers here, consumer packaged goods executives, people that are working in sports nutrition, functional CPG brands, there is a ton of stigmas that are changing right now with esports athletes or just gamers in general, because of all that attention that's happening, what I just mentioned around the monetization. People are able to maybe make more money as an athlete or maybe as a influencer streaming or putting content on YouTube. Because of all that and seeing that as an opportunity, people are then taking this a lot more serious. This isn't something they're taking as like a hobby. This is becoming a potential side hustle profession or profession overall. And because of that, they're looking at this and saying, how do I become better? Is there things that I could be doing to get better? Just like any athlete. The stereotypical thought of a gamer is a white male that's sitting in their parents' basement that's eating greasy food like pizza and chips and slugging down a bunch of energy drinks and maybe eating a bunch of like Hostess cakes and things like that. And that's how they're surviving like long gaming sessions. That is not the current kind of makeup of gamers. Like I mentioned before, 3 out of 4 people are gaming, and that's not necessarily people that are focused on intense gaming, but of those people, that overall is just a much diverse group. And because of that, you have so many different people coming into that space that have so many different interests and have so many different ways of life. And that includes living probably a more healthy lifestyle. There is some people that live that world, and that influences other people to live that lifestyle. Furthermore, like esports teams, if you want to get to the top and you're looking at them and saying, how do I get to that level? These esports teams are creating an environment where then the teams live on a compound. They have a specific diet. They have a specific training protocol that's geared around both their physical health and their mental health. They are stocking things with the appropriate meals. If you are aspiring to be those people, you start to live that lifestyle as well. So there is this stigma that's getting torn away. People are thinking about diet, nutrition, supplementation, training. They're looking at how do we pull things from different, more athletic sports? How do we pull inspirations from different areas? And they're looking for those things to give themselves an edge. So this is where those convergence of like two things start to happen here. Sports nutrition brands are kind of paying attention to that. They're kind of seeing that, hey, maybe we can offer some products that are specific for esports athletes or just gamers in general that aren't necessarily just like repackaged pre-workouts, but products that are specifically for gamers. You see ingredient companies that are coming out with certain ingredients that are studied on gamers, just reaction time or different kind of elements that they can kind of replicate within a study. And I think the evolution of gaming on that side, I think it gets more physical. I've talked about this in tons of different content over the last few years, is that I think gaming and esports become this combination of athleticism and gameplay. So it becomes more physical and mental. The more that we have AR and VR, the more that becomes a reality. And I think that moves into things like the Olympics in the future. But to become an esports athlete, I don't think it's necessarily just in a environment where you're just sitting on a computer chair. And because of that, I think that all moves people to then figure out, how do we become better all around athletes? How do we add more physical elements? How do we become stronger, maybe sharper? How do we utilize some different ingredients? But any of the sports nutrition brands that are looking at the space and saying, wow, money signs, I want to get a piece of this, just make sure that you know you have to be authentically in that space. This is all about community. They want to support people that have been a part of the esports world. So unless you want to spend a ton of money to kind of push yourself in there, you need to approach it in the right way. You need to approach it in a way that you're going to be able to be a supportive, net positive person within the community, because this community has been fostered by a bunch of people that has been misunderstood for the longest time. And people have said gaming will rot your eyeballs or rot your brain, or, you know, this isn't what you should be doing. You should be out in the real world or whatever. If they feel like you're an outsider trying to come in there and forcing your way on things, you're going to be shut out very fast. I do want to end this video on a final note. For those that do follow like partnerships within like sports nutrition brands and esports teams, or just esports or gaming influencers, you might recognize that FaZe Clan, that name maybe has come up around G Fuel or Gamma Labs that owns G Fuel. And they do have a long-standing partnership, arguably one of the longest standing partnerships from like 2012. And that deal sees FaZe Clan helping with content and marketing and some exclusive flavors and pushing some retail things with their energy drink, their ready-to-drink beverage as well. So they are not ending that. That is going to be kind of separate. G Fuel is very much just energy, energy, energy. And then Control is all about meal replacement, protein, things of that nature. So if there's not a lot of crossover, I don't think there's going to be any issues. Where this might get into trouble is when, you know, Control starts to move into some of those other categories, if one of them would be considered a conflict of interest to that agreement with G Fuel. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.